Hello everyone, in this lecture we will start a new chapter from class 10th chemistry, that is electrolysis. So first we will know what is the meaning of electrolysis, and then we will understand some terms related to the electrolysis. As you know, there are various types of energies like mechanical energy, electrical energy, chemical energy, thermal energy, and so on. And you also know that these different types of energies can be converted from one form to another. Means you can convert mechanical energy into electrical energy, or electrical energy into chemical energy, or chemical energy into mechanical energy. Now there is a device called electrolytic cell. Electrolytic cell is a device which converts electrical energy into chemical energy. So the device which converts electrical energy into chemical energy is known as electrolytic cell, and this phenomenon is known as electrolysis. So you can say that electrolysis is a process in which electrical energy is converted to chemical energy, and the device which converts electrical energy into chemical energy is known as electrolytic cell. Now, how do we convert electrical energy into chemical energy, and what is the meaning of conversion of electrical energy into chemical energy? So as you know that electrical energy, we consume electrical energy in the form of electricity, right? And chemical energy means the energy which is absorbed or released during a chemical reaction. It means during the process of electrolysis, electricity is used because electrical energy is consumed in the form of electricity. So electricity is used for a chemical reaction. So with the help of electricity, a chemical reaction takes place. Such processes are called electrolysis. So this is the meaning of electrolysis. Now, before understanding how this whole process of electrolysis takes place, we will see some basic terms like electrical conductors and insulators. So you know that electrical conductors are the substances which conduct electricity or which allow electricity to pass through them. For example, metals like aluminium, copper, these are electrical conductors. And what are electrical insulators? The substances which do not allow electricity to pass through them. For example, wood is an example of insulator. Rubber is an example of insulator. So there are basically two types of substances, electrical conductors and insulators. Conductors allow the electricity to pass through them. Insulator don't allow the electricity to pass through them. Now, what is the meaning of electrolytes and non-electrolytes? So let us divide two types of substances, one solids and other solutions or in the state of liquids. So you know that in case of solid substances, the substances which allow the electricity to pass through them are called conductors, and which don't are called insulators. Now, in case of solutions, there are electrolytes and non-electrolytes. Let us take example of water. So if you take water, pure water in a beaker, will the water allow electricity to pass through it? The answer is no. The water conducts electricity because of the presence of some electrolytes in it. Now, the electrolytes are the substances, the solutions of which can allow the electricity to pass through it. For example, copper sulfate. So, if I will add copper sulfate to water, as you know that pure water cannot allow electricity to pass through it, means electricity cannot pass through pure water. But if you will add some copper sulfate in water, it will allow the electricity to pass through it. So the substances whose solutions allow the electricity to pass through it. This is the solution of copper sulfate now. So the solution of copper sulfate will allow the electricity to pass through it. So it will be called an electrolyte. Similarly, the substances, the solution of which do not allow the electricity to pass through them. For example, sugar. So if you will form a sugar solution, means instead of copper sulfate, if you will add sugar in pure water, it will not conduct electricity. So the substances whose solutions do not allow the electricity to pass through them are known as non-electrolytes. So like in case of conductors and insulators, similarly there is a condition for electrolytes and non-electrolytes. Electrolytes are the substances whose solutions allow the electricity to pass through them. Non-electrolytes are the substances whose solutions do not allow the electricity to pass through them. Now the question is, why electrolytes allow the electricity to pass through them and non-electrolytes do not allow the electricity to pass through them? What is the reason that some of the substances allow the electricity while some don't? So we have to see what is the reason for passing of electricity. So you know that there is a term called electric current. What is electric current? Electric current is rate of flow of charge. Please see it carefully. Electric current is the rate of flow of charge. It means if charge is flowing through a substance, then we will say that electricity is passing through it. It means there is a requirement for passing of electricity, that is flow of charge. If charge is flowing, then the substance is allowing the electricity to pass through it. If charge is not flowing through the substance, then the substance is not allowing the electricity to pass through it. Now the question is how the charge passes through a substance. In case of solids, these substances which take charge with themselves through a substance, these substances are known as charge carriers. So the charge carriers means which carry the charge through a substance. In case of solids, charge carriers are electrons. You know that electrons can move through a substance, and you know that in case of metals there are free electrons in the outermost shell, so they can carry the electricity through the metals. So in case of solid, electrons are responsible for the electric current, or electrons are responsible for passing of electricity. If the substance does not have free electrons, then it will not allow the electricity to pass through it. But what in case of electrolytes and non-electrolytes? In case of solution, electrons are not the charge carriers, but charge carriers are ions. Ions are the charge carriers. Ions are the particles which are responsible for passing the electricity. So you know that there may be positive and negative ion. If a substance does not form positive or negative charged particles, means if a substance does not form negative ions or positive ions or ions at all, then it cannot allow the electricity to pass through it. Copper sulfate, when it is dissolved in water, it forms copper ion and sulfate ion. So because it forms ions, therefore it will allow the electricity to pass through it in its solution. But in case of sugar does not form any kind of ions when it is dissolved in water, therefore it cannot allow the electricity to pass through it, because the solution of sugar does not have the charge carriers, and since there is no such particle which can carry charge through a solution, it will not allow the electricity to pass through it. So this is a huge difference between electrolytes and non-electrolytes, that electrolytes allow the electricity to pass through them because they can form the ions. As you know that ions have charge with them, positive or negative charge. So because electrolytes are able to form the ions in their solutions, therefore they can carry the charge through themselves. But non-electrolytes do not form ions, so they do not have the charge carriers and they can't allow the electricity to pass through them. Now we will see the types of electrolytes, because we are studying about electrolysis, and electrolysis is the process which converts electrical energy into chemical energy. Since we are talking about the electrical energy, we have to talk about electrolytes, because the electrolysis takes place in the solution. So we don't have to talk about non-electrolytes anymore. We just have to know what are the non-electrolytes and some examples of non-electrolytes. So there are basically two types of electrolytes. One is strong electrolyte and other type is called weak electrolytes. As I told you, electrolytes are the substances which, when dissolved in their solution in water, they will form ions. So such compounds are called electrolytes. So on this basis we can classify the electrolytes into two categories. One is strong electrolytes and other weak electrolytes. So the substances which dissociate almost completely in their solutions into ions are known as strong electrolytes. So the substances which can dissociate completely into ions are known as strong electrolytes. For example, HCl. So HCl dissociates almost completely, or H2SO4, or NaOH, or NaCl. So basically all the strong acids, all the strong bases and the salts of strong acids and strong bases are strong electrolytes. So you have to remember it. The strong acids, all the strong acids, as you have heard the definition of strong acids and bases, the substances, the acids which dissociate completely and form H plus ions are known as strong acids. So they dissociate almost completely. Similarly, strong bases dissociate almost completely to give OH minus, and their salts like NaCl or Na2SO4. So these are strong electrolytes. Similarly, the weak electrolytes. The weak electrolytes are the chemical substances which do not dissociate completely in their aqueous solutions. Aqueous solution means the solution with water. So these are the substances which do not dissociate completely in their aqueous solution. It means they dissociate only partially. So the example of weak electrolytes are NH4OH or CS3COOH. So you can see that all the weak bases and weak acids are the examples of weak electrolytes, and some salts are examples of weak electrolytes. For example, PbCl2 or AgCl. These are the examples of weak electrolytes. So hope you have understood the difference between electrolytes and non-electrolytes, and strong electrolytes and weak electrolytes. Now there may be asked a question in examination related to the difference between electrolytes and non-electrolytes, or to differentiate between strong and weak electrolytes. So if you have to differentiate between electrolytes and non-electrolytes, you have a few points. For example, electrolytes are the substances which can conduct electricity in their solutions, while non-electrolytes are the substances which cannot conduct electricity in their solutions. Similarly, you can write one more example, that electrolytes dissociate into ions in their solution, while non-electrolytes do not dissociate into ions. Similarly, electrolytes, the solutions of electrolytes may consist of ions and molecules, and the solution of non-electrolytes do not consist of ions. So these are the differences. Similarly, the difference between strong and weak electrolyte. So what is the difference between strong and weak electrolyte? The first difference is they dissociate almost completely into ions in their solution, while they dissociate partially in their aqueous solution into ions. One more difference, that they can conduct a large amount of electricity while they conduct small amount of electricity. As you know that they dissociate almost completely. So because they dissociate almost completely, they can form a large number of ions, and due to the large number of ions, due to the formation of large number of ions, they can conduct a large amount of electricity. But because they do not dissociate completely, they dissociate only partially, therefore they will form small number of ions in their solutions. So because ions are responsible to conduct electricity, they can conduct small amount of electricity. So that is the difference, that they can conduct a huge amount of electricity while they can conduct small amount of electricity. Now one main difference, the solution of strong electrolytes, they consist of ions only. Ions only. The solution of weak electrolytes, because they dissociate partially, so they consist of ions as well as molecules. Why ions and molecules? Because some of the molecules of electrolytes will dissociate into ions and some of the molecules cannot dissociate into ions. So therefore weak electrolytes consist of ions and molecules both, but strong electrolytes dissociate almost completely, so therefore they will have ions only. So this is all in this lecture. In next lecture we will study about the terms related to electrolysis. If you have any queries, you can ask your questions in the comment box. Thank you very much.